I'm definitely starting that again. This is a test of the Boundary Park alert system. Hello and welcome to Season 4, Episode 2 of the Boundary Park alert system. With me, Matt Dean, absolutely killing it on the intro here. Dave's got his head in his hands because either he's tired or because of the intro that I just did prior to this one, which is even worse than this one. And Andy is just looking zenned out as usual. Just nothing phases him. How are you doing, lads?
Yeah, very well. I have enjoyed the break.
Oh, yeah, big time. Yeah, same, yeah.
In fact,
not bad.
I'm slightly. I'm pleased that the cricket's rained off, so we can do this record when the cricket's not on, because it's getting a bit tight, isn't it? If you're watching, you watching?
I'm watching, definitely watching.
Remotely interested, Dave. Andy, Dave, no. How the hell have they even managed to play any cricket? Because it's been July has been as wet as I can remember. It's been really wet, hasn't it?
Global warming, mate.
Well, it's not. If it's not good for cricket,
it's not. But it's fine for football.
Yeah, fine for football.
It's fine for football. Yeah, we don't play football in July, though, do we? With the exception of friendlies, which are, of course, are as dull as ditch water. So a few seasons ago, like when I first came back from Ireland and I was boycotting home games, like a trip to Ashton United during a pre-season friendly had an appeal, but it's that appeal has since worn off. So I've not been to any of the friendlies. I'm just waiting for the season to kick off in earnest, as it will, hopefully, next Saturday. This whole situation with Southend is just, let's just get stuck into it. No one cares what we've been doing over the summer. Let's just get stuck into it. It's all been building up this crescendo to the 5th of August. But I suppose it's a sort of a twist of irony, isn't it? That we're up against Southend and the situation that they're in. A week before, just short of a week before the season's supposed to kick off, we don't know. We just don't know where we're at with it, do we? We don't even know if this game's going to go ahead. We don't know if Southend are going to start the season. We don't know if it's going to be home or away. Andy, what do you make of the way it's been handled by the football authorities?
I don't really know what they could. I mean, I've seen a lot of people moaning about, for example, I booked my train tickets already. So if we're not going, I'll lose some money on that. But I'm not sure what the authorities could do. They're trying to give Southend the best opportunity of starting the season. So they're giving a maximum amount of time. They've said that they'll announce the day this podcast goes out, whether the game goes ahead or where it goes ahead. It looks like it is going ahead to me. And I've seen lots of footage of people trying to get Roots Hall ready, whether they'll get a safety certificate for the full capacity or a reduced capacity, and whether that'll affect the amount of tickets that we'll get that we can sell. I already know that when I went to Southend last season, there's a big chunk of the away end actually is not used behind the goal at Southend because it's structurally, it's not safe basically. So you can only sit in one part of it because one end of it I think is got a bit of subsidence in it. So I don't really know what they could do. So sort of moaning about it there's nothing our club can do.
No, there's nothing our club can do. But I mean, I would argue that Southend and the football authorities, by letting it get to this stage, putting the game into disrepute because, like, what about Oldham? What about Oldham fans? How on earth is it? I understand the point of view of like giving them enough time to try and get. But surely, by the time the fixtures are announced, if your club is not ready to start the league, you shouldn't be allowed to start the league, or something needs to be done. And I'm not. It's the owners of the football club at Southend that are to blame for this. But the football authorities are duty bound, aren't they, to say, well, we have to consider the needs of, like, the team that you're playing on the first game of the season, for example. They would have known, the football authorities would have known that there was, or they should have known that Southend didn't have a safety certificate, yet they still the first fixture game was a home game. Why not give them an away game on the opening day of the season? Why haven't Southend requested an away game for the first game of the season? To me, this just seems like another case of I mean, look, we can go into a whole thing about this, but the Southend fans have not kicked up enough of a fuss until too late in the day, it seems to me. Just this kind of expectation that things are just going to keep going and carry on, and that, everything will be all right, when clearly everything won't be all right, because Southend are making a right balls of it. But the football authorities should have put their foot down. And there should be a deadline prior to the season starting, where if you've not got tick boxes checked, then you don't start the season, because you're just making life difficult for everybody else in the league, aren't you? There's a whole uncertainty. There'll be thousands of pounds wasted from football fans, Oldham fans, who have been planning their journeys, hotel stays, this, that, and the other. So, personally, I think it's an absolute shambles from top to bottom, really. Dave?
Yeah, I think there's two sides to it, isn't there? The football authorities have to look to be assisting Southend where they can. Obviously, Southend are in a dire situation, and if they turn around and said, if you're not done by, or let's say August 1st with all these elements, which they've sort of saying, we're gonna kick you out of the league. But that what would be the detrimental effect of that? It'd be another Bury, it'd be another Macclesfield, it'd potentially others, to name a few, and there'll be. I think there'd be a lot of umbrage taken by the fans, although it is an owner who's behaved badly and not looked after the club. The the National League have to show their support as much as they can. And I do get your frustrations, Matt, in terms of a lot of Oldham fans are going to be wasting money. The fixtures could have been delayed, could have had an away game rather than a home game. It's a really difficult one for all parties involved, isn't it? They've got to be showing the support, but then Southend have to be made accountable for their actions as well.
But it's leaving it. The thing is, it's all about leaving it all too late, isn't it? It's We've heard this. We've heard this from the EFL. We've heard, people talking about, Andy, when we've been talking to football trusts and supporters and stuff about this lack of action, the lack of governance, the lack of urgency to deal with situations like happened at Southend. Last season, the ground was, I'm sure what you don't just, the ground doesn't go from being safe to being unsafe, despite what certain, people amongst our fan base might think. These things are pretty clear, and surely Southend would have been top of like a red list of clubs in the National League to make sure, look, we've got concerns. Are you going to be fit to go ahead? And it just seems it just seems like, to me, just kind of, it just invokes this kind of image of how there's just not enough attention being paid to these things. And everything's like, we can get away with it at the last minute. That Ron Martin's trying to get away with everything at the last minute, put things off, or get away with it at the last minute. And it's just, I feel sorry for the Southend fans, but like them going into like clean seats, and volunteer to tidy up, which is what they have been doing, is not going to get the game on, is it? That's not. The safety certificate isn't down to bird shit on the seats, is it?
No, I think you have to apply for it or pass a safety sort of certificate every season. So it's kind of something that will be expected. I just because this was us. I'm starting off. We should be starting off this episode with like a bit of a fanfare and excitement, because I'm genuinely excited about this season. This is amazing what we're potentially about to see, which is be more competitive on a pitch than we've been for a long time. Yet we're starting off talking about something which is like terrible because it's the club we're playing. But because it was us such a short time ago, I still have a memory. It's still quite raw. So
yeah, definitely.
I think that's why I have a lot of sympathy with the situation. Like I'm less inclined to moan about it, because I look at Southend's situation, I feel for them, and I think they're but for the grace of God. When you look around the rest of the football pyramid, and there's stories, negative stories about ownerships at Hartlepool, Reading, Morecambe, Crawley, Barnsley. Like they've all got some problems going on. Wigan. They've all got some problems going on. And I just think to myself, crying out loud, we're such a lucky position now not to have to panic or worry about what could be around the corner. So whatever will be, will be. If I lose some money on my train tickets, I just think, well, whatever. Like, I can't do anything about it. Maybe I shouldn't have booked them, but hopefully it'll be on.
We all get excited though, don't we? Once the fixtures are announced, and also we take it that once the fixtures have been announced, that everything is, rightly or wrongly, but it should be the case that once the fixtures are announced, that those games are going to go ahead, barring some kind of unforeseen disaster, because you're expecting that the league and the clubs that have applied have got everything in place to start the new season. So it seems reasonable to expect that. But I think going into this season, at the end of the day, not everything's not fixed at Oldham. Right, everything. We're not jumped from being like where we were a year ago, because obviously we can talk about the fact that it's the year anniversary of the takeover and everything. So, like we've made with the episode we did last week with David Unsworth, covered a lot of where he has come, what he's had to go through as a manager in terms of how the club was from his point of view, from a football perspective, behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff. We've made tremendous amount of progress in that short space of time, but football as a whole is still broken, and I certainly wouldn't want to be the fan of a club like us who just forgot about that as soon as we thought, well, we're all right again now, so sod everybody else, it doesn't matter. And for me, what we've been through makes me very acutely aware of the situation at other football clubs, the way that looking at the type of money, the stuff that's happening with this Saudi Arabian league and all this kind of stuff, and then you've got clubs like Southend and the clubs you just mentioned, Andy, struggling like we were. I'm really excited about the season starting. We're going to talk about it, obviously. I just feel for Southend fans. I also think that Southend fans haven't got themselves organised and made enough of fuss over it early enough. But what will play out, and hopefully, the game will go ahead. I think it makes sense for the game to go ahead at Boundary Park, but it would have been good to have organised that somewhat sooner than Monday. But we'll find out. Like we said, we're recording it on Sunday, so we don't know what's going to come about. But let's talk about footy then. Do you fancy us there? I mean, Southend, surely. I've just seen on Twitter then, like, they've just released some 18-year-old kid who's supposed to be quite a talent. So that's another player that would have potentially been playing for them. They've barely got a squad, haven't they? So we'd be expected to roll them over, wouldn't we?
Well, we took a player off them. They've lost quite a few. I don't think they've barely got any, barely got a first team squad of professionals. A very small number. I think they're still under embargo. I don't know whether that's been released. So they've obviously got issues with signing players. So you'd expect them not to be very competitive from the off. But they've kept hold of some of the players, like I think Bridge or whatever, who were half decent. So you never know. If we're not at full strength, they might give us a bit of a game. But you'd hope that we'd be able to compete for sure. I mean, in fact, if you look at the fixtures, the first few games got 2 home games straight after Southend. Unless it switched, it'd be 3. You'd hope we could compete in the first 3 games and try and get off to a reasonable start, wouldn't you?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I did invite the Custard Splat podcast, which is the Southend podcast, who we spoke to on the phone in, Dave. I did invite them to come on to tell us about the situation, like put it out there about the play, but they declined to come on, which I thought was a bit lame, to be honest with you.
To be fair to them, they've probably got a lot on a plate, maybe. I don't know.
I think this.
Well, I mean, when we were in the midst of our stuff, they haven't got more on the plate than we had, and we were on all kinds of podcasts trying to get our plight out there. So that's nonsense, to be honest. It was just a cop out, really. Oh, we don't know if the game's going to be on, and well, if the game's not on, come and talk about why the game's not on. But anyway, that's by the way, that's up to them. How do we feel about the signings and the pre-season and the build-up and everything else? How are you both feeling? Are you buzzing to the max off the pre-season reports? And has anyone actually, Dave, you went to Hyde because you commentated on it, didn't you? Although there wasn't much to commentate on, was there? You spent most of the time just talking about other stuff, reading stupid things that I text you, and like dares. I said, "Can you get this into the sentence?" and stuff like that. But,
I did no.
Which you did, to be fair.
No,
you did.
I had to because it was that boring.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Do you know what? there's about when I saw that game, there's two standout players that I saw, and unfortunately, it weren't the signings. It was that Leighton Chapman, the right back, who played really well, and Benny Couto, who played in left midfield in the first half, and then went to defence in the second half. And that was about it. Not really much to shout about.
That was the first friendly, though, wasn't it, as well? Season.
Yeah. I've just tried to ignore friendlies because obviously I've had a lot on. Having a bit of a rest and with stuff starting. And in terms of the signings, I've only seen a glimpse of them. I watched some real competitive games to give my judgment on the signings. Really, Lundstrom looked good at Hyde, but again, at 45 minutes, you can't really tell.
Do we know what's up with him? Do we know because he hobbled off, didn't he? And he's on crutches by all accounts.
Allegedly, yeah.
Do we know where he's at?
I don't know. I might sneak a text to Baz Rathbone this week and see if he'll spill the beans. But yeah, they keep the cards close.
He apparently tweets his knee, didn't he? And so it could be precautionary. And the article that Suzanne Geldard did suggested it could be a relatively short period of time, but they didn't know until the scan. So I guess we won't know. But I mean, if you look at the signings we made over the summer, when we did the squad pod at the back end of last season, and when we did that, it was difficult, wasn't it? It was difficult because you had a lot of players under contract. You had to move a lot of players on. We haven't really paid any. I think possibly Luke Burgess is the only actual player we've paid up, isn't it? Because Windass has gone out on loan. Luke Weiler has gone to Port Vale.
Unbelievable. That is unbelievable.
Well,
what an agent.
I guess as a backup, because Ripley's gone there, hasn't he, his first choice. And Harrison McGahey, Matt, you and I saw him in the Players' Lounge last week. Going to it. So he's integrated into the first team squad. So he's fit
enough to play pool. We know that.
Yeah. In fact, he looked in good shape, I thought. He looked pretty good. So so obviously he's there as a backup centre half, and presumably, they're looking on him as someone with experience in case we get injuries. I don't think he's going to be starting every week. Certainly, probably not fit enough to start every week anyway. So they haven't moved many on. We didn't ask about the one. There's a couple of questions we didn't get through with David Unsworth, but not very many. One of them was what's happened to Junior Lawamba. I assume he hasn't gone anywhere else, and he's rejected our contract offer, so he'll have left. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is there weren't that many gaps to sign players. So we signed 5? Have I got that right? So you've got
Willoughby, Hobson,
Lundstrom.
Willoughby, Hobson,
Lundstrom, Raglan,
Ward, and Raglan.
Right, so we signed 5.
And we signed Green as well has come on a permanent contract.
Green and the keeper we were extending contracts for anyway. Yeah. So we only had 5 signings. So what I found interesting last week when we chatted to David is he said he wants 3 more. So I was thinking, wow, I thought 5 was it, because once you counted the squad number up, 5 new people coming in with all the people that we've already got, you were thinking there's probably not a great deal of room to add any more to that, especially with maybe some of the youth being promoted through to the.
Yeah, well, you've not mentioned like the players that we actually got rid of as well, though, that have left the squad, isn't there? Like,
But when we did the squad pod, we got rid of all them anyway, and we could only find a place for 5 players. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So he signed 5 players. So the fact that we might sign up to another 3 between now and next week, it is probably slightly more than I thought. But if you look at those 5 players we signed, will it be 20 goals, best player at Chester, Lundstrom, player of the season there. Raglan comes with a lot of experience, 2 divisions higher. Apparently Cheltenham wanted to keep him. He wanted to move back north. Apparently another League One club
Carlisle
had offered him a contract, and he still chose us because he wants to be in and around Manchester. So that would suggest that we've got someone with a decent pedigree at centre half. So all those players, and Dan Ward, who probably wasn't getting the rave reviews at Gateshead because they had Cameron Conte, didn't they, who was sort of taking the limelight. But Dan Ward obviously played his part there, and I'm sure Gateshead wanted to keep him. So everybody we've signed this summer are players that their original club that we signed them from would have wanted to retain, and or have had plenty of offers from other clubs. Now, if you think about summers in the past, when we're literally like, sifting through what's left and deciding who we can sign that no one else wants, you would assume that we would go into the new season better off with 5 new players. I guess the slightly curious thing over the preseason friendlies, I'm not bothered about. Like, we didn't rave. You and I made a conscious decision not to talk about the 6-1 win at Chorley, like start raving about it, because just in the same vein as the 3-0 home defeat against Mansfield, they're both meaningless, really. So we're not going to bother with either of them. But I guess what's curious is maybe I'd have assumed Willoughby would have been a shoe-in starter every week. 20 goals, bit of a marquee signing from the division below. But he hasn't really started many games in pre-season. Don't know whether that's tinkering with systems. Maybe he's not fully fit, or I don't know. But I
think there's lots of things. There's lots of different factors for lots of different things, isn't there? And like, Willoughby's not proven at this level, right? He's not played at this level yet either, because they're just pre-season friendlies. So, you bring it in like last season. Nuttall was a big signing. Fondop is like, keeps, making a claim for a space with goals. He scores goals, and that's the main thing. Alex Reid, these are the players from last season. For me personally, I think it's up to the other players to shift them. And once the season starts, we'll see how it goes. I don't think you can prove either way. Who plays what and how many minutes and all this, that doesn't tell us anything really about the preseason. I don't think a massive amount. I think it's more likely just to be fitness. Maybe the players who needed more fitness are the players that have played. There's so much speculation in WhatsApp groups, on Twitter, on this and that and the other. For me, I'm still just kind of like, well, the manager and the management team of David Unsworth, John Ebrell, Steve Thompson, Baz Rathbone, they know what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
They know what they're doing. Like, they know far greater than any of us as fans, and they're working with these players day in, day out. They know who's got little tweaks, little this, little that. They don't give it all the way to the media either. They keep it under wraps. They don't want Southend, if hopefully all being well we play, they don't then want them to know who's fit, who's firing, who's not. They want to go into that game with the best possible chance of winning. So you can see it on social media already. People are eyeing up, well, we're never going to do this with this. Shelton and Sheeran in midfield. It's not going to be Shelton and Sheeran in midfield, because if we wouldn't have gone out and signed Lundstrom and Ward, if it was, as backups players, would we? If them two didn't work great last season, and they probably haven't worked great in pre-season. So we'll see what happens. I think we just have to give it time. Personally, we'll come on to predictions and that for the season later, but I'm not expecting us to come out of the traps and be like beating Southend 6-0, then putting all the shots to the sword 4-0, and then Halifax. I don't think it's going to be like that. I suspect that we're going to start like better than we did last season, but grow into the season. I think we'll get better as the season goes on. It's dangerous to set yourself up expecting us to fly out of the traps and our new signings to be scoring hat-tricks on the opening day of the season and then losing your shit when it doesn't happen. Like, I can see it. It's going to be the same old story. We're going to be like, it's okay. Now, if we go out and lose the first 4 games 4-0 each game, or we got to, we scrape through a few, then, you're going to be like, well, this is not going as I'd expected it. I would dearly love us to win our first 3 games, Chesterfield to win their first 3 games, and then go into that Chesterfield game as a top of the table. That'd be fantastic. But, there's no point living in the past, and there's no point living in the future. We just have to sort of deal with each thing as it comes along. And I think that look at the stuff around Boundary Park, look at the photographs, the pitch, the dugout, all that stuff, because you'll get the certain people I can see, I can hear them in my head now. Well, you don't win football matches by having a nice dugout. You don't win football. But it's all these incremental steps towards us having a far superior football club than we did before. And the results on the pitch will follow. Now, will they follow in August of 2023? Or will it take a little bit longer than that? For me, it's all going beautifully, and if we have a fantastic start to the season, that'll just be the icing on the cake. But if we don't, it's not the end of the world. So that's where I am at mentally going into this season.
Yeah, if you list all the things that they've done, installed the borehole and water tank that saves them loads of money a year so they can water the pitch itself. They've done loads of work on the Chaddy end to make sure that the safety advisory group would allow us to get our capacity up to 13,186. Car park extension, marking out parking bays, painted the gates at the front and put a crest on it. The Legends Lounge that they've put together with all the marketing and hospitality brochure that they'd sent out. They've done the disabled area, the new bench and seats, and then blow-torched all the seats in the Joe Royal stand to make them look shiny and blue. And you're like, this is the care and attention that this place has needed. And it's just
and the fans bar as well. You know, they got rid of all that the corporate got all taken away, and everyone used to use the upstairs in you know, like the seasons before under Abdallah, and it was all a fiasco, wasn't it? But to be fair, they've invested in the fans bar. They had a small bar. They've extended the bar. They tried doing the vending machines. They were trying to improve it every week by week based on fans' feedback, weren't they? So, you know, that fans bar is a good venue for any club. I went to Mansfield last season, and they have something exactly the same. You know, Oldham Community Trust as well. They're trying to get the mascots back involved and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? To make it a community club. You know, the new athletics store. You know, that looks nice. You know, you saw the clips of it yesterday. You know, so.
I'm not expecting everything to be perfect, but look at what they've done. It's just dead and shoulders above, isn't it? Compared to
pulls apart, innit? Pulls apart.
Huge.
Absolutely, mate. Like when we went last week, Mark and I, we went into the players' lounge and had lunch in there. You could just feel the atmosphere, couldn't you? It was tangible. Like you could. Everyone was really, really relaxed, getting on. It was a lot of smiles. You know, I know we're not in the middle of a relegation battle like we were last season because we're about to start a new one, but it just felt a really good place to be. You could feel it in there. I had a really good chat to Mark Sheridan, the secretary, when I arrived. Just I chatted to him about 15 minutes beforehand, and he just gave me, just a bit of a feeling for what it's like. And bear in mind, he was at the club. I think he went to Burton and Oxford and then came back. And he was just saying what, even compared to those places, what a great place Oldham is as the community of people that work for the club have always been great, even when they were being led by cretins. Now it's just an amazing place to be. And I think you can feel it when you're in there. So all of those things, and the facilities for the players, and the food, and the way it's all nicely managed and choreographed between Chapel Road and Boundary Park and Little Wembley, and it's got to be. Success has to be built from those foundations, doesn't it? It has to.
Oh yeah.
Which is why I'm just so. Which is why I coined that phrase to begin with. I am really relaxed about it because. It will work. We will be a success. I think I fancy us to start all right. Actually, I hope we take 7 points from the first 3 games. If you draw away and win at home, you're well in the mix. And I think we could pick up. Pick 7 points up from those first 3 games. We are literally off to a flyer. Chesterfield away is going to be incredibly difficult. Chesterfield should win it outright. I'd say Chesterfield will win it by 10, 15 points probably. They're going to be head and shoulders in front of everyone else, I think. So that's going to be tricky. But I think we could get off to a decent start, especially if there's maybe 1 or 2 more signings to come in. I guess those signings may not be integrated into the squad very quickly because they won't have trained for 6 or 8 weeks with everyone else. But we'll see, won't we? I'm chilled. I'm relaxed. I fancy us to have a good season.
There's different. There's lots of different perspectives within the fan base about what makes a good start as well. Like if we scrape by a 1-0 win at Southend, and we scrape 1-0 at home against Aldershot, and we scrape 1-0 against Halifax, then
I'll be delighted.
Me too. Exactly. No, me too. Yeah. Exactly. I'll be delighted.
Win.
Exactly. And if we get 9 points out, that'd just be fantastic. And if we win and we don't play well, I'll be even more happy. As opposed looking at that and thinking, well, as the season goes on, I'm going to expect us to pick up better form. So I'd rather win a game and play poorly than be brilliant, play a team off the park and lose.
I just want to see a winning mentality. Change the mentality. Exactly. That's all I want to see.
Yeah.
Well, and I think
I think that those things like the dugouts, for example, like what they've done there, they've got Premier League standard dugouts in there now, like in terms of the seating and the way it looks and the crest and everything on. It looks fantastic, and it's all part of moving the away fans into the paddock. It's all part of this kind of which, by the way, the away fans now can get on the back of the away team's coaching staff if they're having a bad game, which I just thought of. In the same way that our lot in the main stand paddock will let our manager know in no uncertain terms what they think. Well, theirs will now as well, and that's a good little psychological move. But there's teams like Wealdstone and Oxford City are going to be coming into that dugout, and it's going to be like, now it works one of two ways. It either intimidates them or it makes them up their game even more. We'll see. But the point is that when people come to Boundary Park now, they're coming to what feels like a proper professional football club. I bumped into Paul Murray last week as well in the corridor, and he was saying it's just so different to what it was like when he left. He said he'll come on the pod anyway, so we can ask him a bit more, see if we can, get some dirt off him from when he was here last time. But it feels every single time we've been, whether it's been to a press call or whatever it is over the. We've not been loads of times since over the last year, but every single time we've been, you've seen people working on something, people doing something. There's always been something going on. There's always been some improvements being made, and this is so welcome after a period of time when literally nothing was done. No effort was made whatsoever, and the place was just falling into disrepair. So psychologically, we should all be absolutely delighted by that, buoyed by that, enthused by that. I thought the interview last week went down really well. I thought people responded positively to what Unsworth had to say. I felt positive about it. He knows as much as anybody that results are what determines success in football. And we all desperately want success, and we want to win games, and we want stability. I don't think anyone's going to put stability over success. There's always a point where a manager, his time is up, but certainly not that for Unsworth, is it? After what he inherited and what he went through in his first season.
I thought last week's poll was brilliant, and he's a really, really nice bloke, isn't he?
He really is. Yeah, he's a lovely fella.
Yeah, really, really nice to chat to. Really easy to chat to. Very accommodating. Top bloke. You'd be hard pressed not to like him when you spend some time with him. But I've when we pushed him on a couple of points that we considered how to frame the questions, I could see, like when I was asking him about, for example, what's the style going to be in effect? How are we going to set up? What do you want to see this season? Are we going to sit deep and hit on the attack? Are we going to high press? He sort of looked at me and you could see the glint in his eye. I could see the glint in his eye because he knew the question I was asking, and his answer to it was, "We want to play fast, dynamic football." That's how he was brought up under those managers at Everton, and that's how you would talk about any Latics team in the last 30 years that's been any good, under Dowie, under Shez, under Joe Royal, going back those days. We weren't a tiki-taka passy around side, were we?
Well, I don't think any good side.
Even under Richie, although we were signing Tony Carrs and David Ayres, we were always going for the attack, weren't we? Every time.
You never had a successful team that played slow, undynamic football, have you? So, I
guess the difference being, if you look at the way Notts County played last season, I mean, they were lovely to watch, but they retained the ball a lot, didn't they? Whereas obviously Wrexham just threw the ball into the box a lot. I suspect the sort of the position that I think David Unsworth wants to get us to is he's fine with counter-attacking, but it's minimal. It's not overpassing it around or just trying to retain the ball and doing little triangles. It is literally let's make as minimal number of passes as we can to get the ball in the box and then create chances. Now I'm fine with that. That's no problem to me. If that's what we're seeing and we're seeing opportunities, then brilliant. Let's go for that. So let's just, like you said, we don't know until we see how they set up and how it pans out. But I'm really looking forward to this season. I fancy us to do. I genuinely fancy us to do well. Can we do our predictions now? I'm dying to know what Dave's.
Yeah.
Surely
I'm not going
Dave's
first. I'm going last.
Well, I'll tell you what. Dave, you not predicted. Sorry, that's because I was looking at the word prediction. My brain just can't do two things at once. You've got in touch with friends of the show, Mark White and Pete Wild, didn't you? And asked them to do some predictions for us. So let's start off with our friend Pete Wild, Latics fan. Let's see what he thinks is going to be the situation in the National League next season.
Morning, mate. Hope you're well. Here's my predictions, pal. I think at the top end, I think Chesterfield, Oldham, and don't underestimate Hartlepool and John Askey's experience of this league and knowing what it takes. And I think he's signed really well. And Woking as well. Woking are on the rise with Darren Saul. I think they've got a real chance. So I'd say them are the four that will probably be fighting it out, in my opinion. But hey, what do I know? It's an opinion. Hope you're all well. Speak to you soon.
Cheers, Wildy. Thanks for that, mate.
You, Pete.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, like Hartlepool, they've just come down. Chesterfield, obviously, they're flying. Woking, the teams that were doing well last season, and you'd fancy them to continue doing well this season, wouldn't you? It tends to be the way it works. You don't go from one extreme to the other. So
Askey's a good manager as well. He can't be underestimated. He's got teams out. He got Macclesfield out, didn't he? Not too long ago. He can work on a shoestring budget with a lot of turmoil in the background. He's definitely one to watch.
Here's one to watch. Mark White from Dorking.
Mate, I'm always comfortable with anything, mate. I'm going to go Hartlepool, Chesterfield. Oldham, I'm going to say 8th. Dorking, I'm going to say 12th. Bottom 4, I'm going to go Southend, based on circumstance. Oxford, Aldershot, Kidderminster. Mr. Popular.
8th. What do you reckon?
No.
Could he be, is he trying to wind us up with that?
Of course, he's trying to wind us up. Right, I'm going to go first this year. I reckon top 7 for sure. For me, I think we'll be top 7. So I think we're in the playoffs. Possibly, if you're going to make me.
I'm not. Top 7's not good enough. I mean, that's like 7 places. I mean, there's a big difference between 7th or 2nd. So you have to.
I reckon 4th or 5th. So that would mean that we'd have what would in effect be a home quarter-final against 6th or 7th, and then an away semi-final against 2nd or 3rd to get to Wembley, and then we'll get to Wembley, and on our 3rd visit to Wembley, 3rd time lucky. We lost the first one. We drew the second one.
We'll lose the third
one.
It sounds like an exciting season, Andy. Anyway, so compared to previously, that would be good. I'll go next. I'll leave Dave's to last. I predicted on the last episode of the season that we would finish in the top 3. I think that it's like they said, the Hartlepool may well do all right. Chesterfield, definitely. I fancy Chesterfield to win it. I think the teams like Woking and Boreham Wood and Bromley, they'll all be contenders again, won't they? But I'm going to stand by my top 3 finish. I don't think we're going to win the league. I don't think we'll finish 2nd, but necessarily. But I think we'll be up there. If we're not, though, because I feel like we're going. Like I said, I feel like we're going to grow. I feel like we're going to get stronger. I think we might finish strong because I feel like if we need to, we'll buy more players as the season goes on again, like we did last time. We'll bring more players in. I feel like the mentality around the club and the facilities at the club and the way that the club is going, I feel that we're going to be strong. Whether we'll have enough this season, I don't know. The conversation we had last week with David Unsworth, we asked him about the 3 up, 3 down. He sounded like that might well be in next season. in which case I would fancy us for automatic promotion next season. If we finish in the top 3, I think that would be an amazing achievement. If we finish in the top 7 and we get to the playoffs after everything that we've been through, again, I think that would be a great achievement. If we finish outside the top 7, will it have been a failure? I think it will have depended on how the season's gone. I don't think you can determine now. I think if we finish in the bottom half, I think that'll have been a poor season. But I'm going to go. It's on a long-winded sort of explanation, but I think I'm going to win the top. I'm going to go for 3rd. I'll pin it on an actual position. I'm going to go 3rd.
Right.
Dave?
Are you ready? Right. Now, I'm going to predict where we're going to be at Christmas, and then I'll give you my final prediction for the season. So I think by Christmas, we're going to be about 12th or 14th. And there will be... Hang on.
We were going to win it all the way last season.
Hang on. Just bear with me. I think it's going to take time for the squad to gel. I think we're going to sign a few more players in the coming weeks. And it's going to take time. But I think we may do a Stockport. I know I hate saying the words Stockport. Sorry, spit the crap out of my mouth. But I think we'll go on an amazing run. And I think we will finish 4th. And we will win the playoffs.
Okay, so you two have already got us winning at Wembley. That's pure romance, that is. That's just like, that is what you want to happen. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, I would love us to go automatically rather than through the playoffs. But like I said, I don't think any of us fancy us to win the league this season because there are teams that are much further ahead of us in terms of their development. And I think that's where you've got a sort of, and we're not talking about in terms of the development of the actual football club, but in terms of the actual development of the squad and the team. Over time, the fact that they've had that stability for a few seasons, they're adding and developing the quality all the time. It makes a massive difference. Can
I just add one thing? Sorry.
Go on.
And Rochdale are going to go down. That's a definite. They are going down.
Yeah,
and I hope they do.
They won't.
I hope they do. National League North, Curzon v Rochdale. Can't wait for that one.
They're going to struggle like we did, because it'll take time to adjust. But I don't think they'll go down. They'll probably be midway. I would have thought that there is, like you just heard Mark White say. Then there's going to be the likes of Maidenhead, Oxford City. Even Dorking to a degree. I hope Dorking are comfortable, but they're all still part-time clubs, and it's going to be difficult for them to compete. So I think Rochdale will be fine, but. A
lot of it depends on how the teams that have come up adjust, doesn't it? Like you said, sometimes it's just too much of a leap, isn't it?
Fylde and Ebbsfleet look like they're pretty well equipped, and they've got reasonable money back in them. But I don't know whether Kidderminster or Oxford will struggle possibly. But if you think about, imagine we did get to Wembley and went up in the playoffs, that's probably financially the best solution, isn't it? Because the amount of money you generate through the TV games and the visit to Wembley and all the money that would come from the back of that, it would probably, it's not going into the playoffs is a massive lottery, as we've seen before. We've been in it 3 times and never got through the semi-finals. So you think, but it'd be an amazing story. And if you think about what's going to happen this season as well, is we've already got 2 games on telly already. So Chesterfield away, Gateshead away. Gateshead one's handy for me because there's no chance I'll be going up there from here. So, that's great. So we're going to be generating more money. Obviously, season tickets are just under 4,000 season tickets sold, which is amazing. You remember all those people last season saying, "Oh, unless the quality improves, no one will come next year."
Yeah,
and they have. So. It's a lot of nonsense. I knew that the goodwill would continue beyond that, and people can see what's being built. So you just think that hopefully the revenue that comes in from the gym and the OEC, and obviously the rugby starting next season. I know there's no necessarily income from that for a few years because the pitch is part of that deal, but. You can see how revenue and income builds. I mean, I think the Football League get more money next year, don't they? From next season on in solidarity payments from the Premier League. So this season really would be perfect to go up now, because next season we lose all of our parachute payments, and we'd miss out on that bump up from the Football League. So really, this season I'm just going to stand short saying crucial, but it would be important to try to get up this year. So I'm sure they're going to do everything they can. And you probably rightly will sign more players. Like David Unsworth said, he wants 3 more. So you can't imagine we aren't going to do that. Obviously, we were after Andy Dallas. So, David Unsworth confirmed that. And it would appear that we were prepared to make him a reasonably strong offer. So that presumably also means that maybe there is some money in the kitty or in the budget left to still try and attract somebody else. So we may get another decent forward-thinking player in between now and soon after the season starts. So yeah, I just think people have got to get behind it. When David Unsworth said last week, if the fans are all behind the club, it makes a big difference. And with us having 6, 7, 8,000 in the ground every week, whatever it is, it could really matter. So I'm almost urging people, not like you said, I briefly went on Twitter last night just to have a look at the reaction to the Mansfield game, and I immediately rolled my eyes at the same half a dozen accounts moaning already. You're like, just what is the point? Like, let's just get behind it and see how it goes, because I think this could be an amazing season. I'm hoping it will be.
I mean, Twitter is just honestly. They're knobs, aren't they? Some of them. They are, aren't they? And they know who they are. I would love to name them, but I can't be bothered to give them any credence because they're just deluded. And they all piggyback on each other because they're from a little group all circling the vultures. I tell you what, it must be great their Christmas party when they all get together and start stabbing each other in the back. Unbelievable.
Well, listen, Dave, we've got the football phone, then, haven't we? So, next, as starting on Wednesday, as the build up to the game at the weekend, fans can call in and let us know what they think about the start of the season, the pre-season. Come on and tell us that we're all, that we're the ones talking out of our asses and that we're the deluded ones. By all means, that's fine. It's all about opinions, and let's get stuck into it, because I think at the end of the day, I mean, I was in deepest, darkest Wales this weekend, and there was no internet signal in the field that I was camping in, and it was bliss. It was really nice to be away from the internet and not to get the urge to look on the hashtag and all this stuff. But to be honest with you, I've avoided it pretty much all summer anyway, jumping on there every now and again. But compared to what you like, the normal levels of hashtag use through the season. It's been pretty quiet from my point of view, but I would love nothing more than for us all to be having the debates about football, and football fans are always like, well, the manager should have done this, we should have done that, we should have picked him, we shouldn't have picked him. That's part and parcel of it. As long as we can have healthy debates, I think, without calling for people's heads and oh, you should be getting sacked. Because if you think about it, like that. You wouldn't do that in any other, to anybody else in a profession. I think it's disrespectful, particularly when we know where we've been. So, look, I'm not expecting us to go and get absolutely pumped in every game, and there might be an argument to say that something's severely wrong if we don't win a game for the first 2 months or something like that. But I don't think that's gonna happen. So.
Oldham 12 straight defeats. Everyone just calm down.
Yeah, exactly. I think we might be. I think we might be even ourselves might be called.
Well,
because then it's absolutely, because clearly something would be wrong. But we're going into this season, everything is so good. Everything is so good, and Unsworth said in the interview last week about the atmosphere at the last game of the season last season, and it was fantastic. And I am sure that the first game at Boundary Park, the atmosphere is going to be fantastic. I'm sure the Atleticos have got something organised to make that game. I mean, obviously now that they've got profits off their own clothing range, they're fashion designers now, which is fantastic. But well done to them for that. That's amazing. Because the money that they make, they'll invest in making the experience at Boundary Park even better. And we've not gone into a football season like this at Boundary Park for such a long time. It's genuinely exciting. Whether we finish 7th, 4th, 3rd, 8th, like even if we do finish where Mark White predicted, as long as everything is building towards us having a go of the next season, for me, it is what it is. We've come a long, long way.
One of the other things I think about all the time is, and if you saw, like we talked about, it's a year anniversary since the Rothos took over this week. So there's been some stuff in the Oldham Times, and the media team put a lot of stuff out on the official website. And you just think about, in that space of a year, what's happened in 1 year, just a year. That's all it is. The year goes like that as you get older, doesn't it? You read like stuff. There's an Oldham Times article where, basically the Rothwell family had said they've made a decision that when they took over the club, that not being professionals in football, that they would leave the sort of day-to-day running of the football side of it to the professionals, and just they're running the business instead. And I just think it takes an enormous amount of the control,
maturity, Andy.
Understanding of how to manage it. It shows class. And so, people like Luke and Sue, who, if we chatted to them before, they're just really good people that are really successful. They know what they're doing, so they deserve the space from us to get on with that job. And that's how I feel about it. So, they know what they're doing. Let them make the decisions and back them.
Yeah, 100%. And if they choose to give the manager the time and the space to do his job as well, then I would encourage the fans to take their lead and do the same. And we're talking to a minority here, I think, who we know are ready to get on Unsworth's back at the first opportunity because they don't think he's the right man. And we see it in people's comments. We hear it when we talk to people. Those people are out there and they're entitled to their opinion. Don't get me wrong. They're entitled to their opinion. I think when it becomes an issue for everybody is when in the ground it starts to be about putting more pressure on the players and the manager when maybe it's other people think it's been done a bit too early. So, I think if everyone could the best possible scenario is a good start to the season, calms everybody's nerves. I'm nervous. I am nervous about it. I'm nervous because I want the season to start well so that everybody feels that relaxed. Everyone feels relaxed. There isn't that tension. There isn't that within the fan base. Some people say, "See, I told you he should be gone," and others saying, "Oh, we need to be patient." And having that, it'll make for a good debate on the phone, no doubt. But it would just be nice for once for all of us. We deserve it, don't we? We deserve a good start to the season. It'd be nice for us all if we just hit the ground running on Saturday, with an away win.
Yeah, we do, and we've not started with a win for years. But if you look at Luton, who we interviewed, and what they've just achieved, they're going to start in the Premier League shortly. They were in our division 10 years ago, and that club Luton is not any size larger than ours, but the same size club as ours, same size town, same location to a big city where they've got loads of North London fans in around their community as well.
Similar achievements, Andy, as well in terms of like cup finals, top flight years in the top flight and all that kind of stuff. They really aren't dissimilar, are they? And
so, what they've had is their owners and their fans and their supporters trust all working harmoniously together to try and succeed. And I think that's kind of the blueprint. I tell you what was funny when I was watching Luton versus Coventry. I was behind Luton all the way for a number of reasons, but how could anybody want Coventry to win when the manager was Mark Robbins? So if you're of a certain age, I saw some Lassie's fans like cheering Coventry on. I was like, what are they doing? Do they even know what happened? No way.
I think take Mark Robbins out of the equation, and he has done a great job at Coventry. In fairness to him, their story is also one that should inspire us because that football club's been an absolute mess, and they were on the brink of the Premier League, and who knows? It's a funny old game, as someone once said, and it's a long season. It hasn't started yet, and we're trying to sort of live in the moment. But we're all football fans. We all get excited. We all get over. Well, we don't all get overly dramatic, overly down when we lose and overly high when we win. But it is a common feature of a football fan. So nothing's going to change that. And I'm not certainly trying to change anyone or anything. But yeah, I'm done. I'm finished. I'm done. What more can we say? Like we're about to start the new season, and there's far more to be positive about than there is to be negative about for the first time in a God knows how long. So I'll take that all day.
Bring on Southend.
Yeah, good luck, Southend, in getting your season started, and National League, stop pissing around, and let's get this game on.
Let's get singing.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah. God, yeah, absolutely.
God, it just start well, for goodness sake.
We're going up.
Right, that clearly is the end of the podcast. The Boundary Park Alert System is hosted and produced weekly by Matt Dean, Andy Halliwell and Dave Bradley. A huge thank you goes to those people who already subscribe to the podcast. We appreciate you all, and if you'd like to help us out financially, please visit oafcpodcast.co.uk and click support or find the link in the show notes. It's only $2.99 a month to subscribe, but if you'd rather make a one-off donation, please visit buymeacoffee.com/OAFC podcast or click the link on our website. Please follow and interact with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok at OAFC Podcast, and subscribe to youtube.com/@OAFC Podcast, where you will find the Latics Football Phone-In with myself and Dave Bradley live every Wednesday from 8:30 p.m. We'd like to thank Arlene Finnegan for writing our excellent weekly blog, which we encourage you to read on our website every Saturday morning. And thanks also goes to Paul Prendergast for providing us with all the Latics Mind questions. The title music for the show is by Manchester DJ and producer Starion, and for more information visit bandcamp.com/Red Laser Records. You can help change the game by listening to us on the FanHub app along with all major podcast platforms. Please like, subscribe and review the pod and help us climb the rankings to get more listeners wherever you listen. Thank you for listening, and if you'd like to be a guest or contribute to the show in any way, we'd love to hear from you. See you next week.